The title of this article represents the best way I know how to address America's greatest foreign threat. Curiously, I can't recall anyone asking the question to Barack Obama. This is a question that Obama is terrified of, Republicans don't ask, Libertarians are afraid of, and Fox News doesn't even ask. Why is it that no one is asking our leaders the right question? Was Muhammad a terrorist? When I was in high school, I didn't like history. History was then and is now generally taught deductively. Here are a bunch of facts, go make sense of them. Other than the most naive conclusions, it is good to be king or people do evil things for money, I never did figure out quite how to string those facts together in a common line. After stumbling upon Jude Wanniski's The Way the World Works, which taught history inductively, I suddenly became passionate about history. Nathan Lewis's Gold, the Once and Future Money became another outstanding source of inspiration. Hitting the groupthink sweet spot, the West's universal paradigm of teaching history deductively has a value of less than zero. Such victims of historical deduction not only do not understand the principles which build and destroy empires, the principles of natural law, but they become disenchanted with history. Their upshot of history becomes a disparaging, things happen, ugh. Seen in light of our discussion of the inductive versus deductive teaching of history, our question, was Muhammad a terrorist, forces a deductive line of thought on Islam. If Muhammad was a terrorist, and Muhammad is the example for all Muslims, which the Quran tells us dozens of times that he is, then our gentle Muslim neighbor is not a good Muslim, contributing to the moral cover of an evil ideology. Just recently, Rupert Murdoch sent the tweet heard around the world, quote, maybe most Muslims are peaceful, but until they recognize and destroy their growing jihadist cancer, they must be held responsible, unquote. But if Muhammad was a terrorist, then as long as they are Muslim, the quote-unquote peaceful Muslims should be held responsible. They are yelling fire in our tinderbox culture. Civilization, we remind ourselves, is not the norm of human history. In other words, Rupert was not speaking from a Western perspective of liberty, natural law, and unalienable rights, but was still uttering Islam is good, multicultural tripe. But even in the aftermath of the Islamic murders of the Charlie Hebdo newspaper, Murdoch's multicultural tripe is offensive to our hyper-multicultural zealots and Muslims as well, and has caused a Twitter feud. But if moral equivalence magically collapses the savior of the world into the world's terror chieftain, then the multiculturalist J.K. Rowling's snarky tweet, quote, I was born Christian, if that makes Rupert Murdoch my responsibility, I'll auto-excommunicate, unquote, is the soup du jour. Introduce your multicultural acquaintances to this verboten question and watch how quickly they mock you or demonize you for asking such an offensive and inappropriate question. Press the question and soon it's either intellectual game over or they suffer a psychological meltdown. You see, multiculturalists are passionate about their treason. Recently, Brother Rashid posted a fantastic, gentle rebuke to our multiculturalist-in-chief. At 7:33 in his video posted to YouTube, Rashid says, Mr. President, if you really want to fight terrorism, then fight it at the root. If you want to fight terrorism, then fight it there, unquote. You could imagine a reporter picking up on this video, educating himself, and then foisting our question to Obama while relentlessly and patriotically holding slippery Obama to the facts about Muhammad. Such patriotism would send multiculturalism back to that hear no, see no, speak no evil of Islam corner of hell from which it came. In contrast, Sean Hannity had a star-studded program on quote-unquote radical Islam. Yet the name suggests that either Hannity doesn't know what he's talking about or the partly Muslim-owned Fox News is bowing to her Islamic ownership, or both. Incredibly, Hannity manages to snatch defeat out of the jaws of victory. At the 8:48 marker, Hannity asks former Green Beret Benjamin Collins, quote, so Muslims are moving into Western countries. How do you determine which Muslims want freedom and which might perhaps want to come in and implement Sharia law? How do these Western countries decide who gets in and who doesn't get in, unquote? But Sean, if Muhammad was a terrorist and these folks are patterning themselves after Muhammad, then all Muslims are cut from the same doctrinal cloth as Muhammad. If Muhammad was a terrorist and an evangelist for terrorism, then all Muslims, by definition, are at least doctrinal terrorists. So how can granting doctrinal terrorist citizenship be the premise of your foreign policy, Sean? But ask the right question, and it's amazing to see how the conversation will go. Was Muhammad a terrorist? By the way, should anyone prove that Muhammad was not a terrorist, a $50,000 prize is yours. Good luck with that, though. This prize has been tendered for over a decade now, and no one has been able to claim it. But such facts don't derail the treasonous Obama foreign policy chanting, quote, "The U.S. is not and never will be at war with Islam," unquote, ad nauseum.